Tight, Katie.
Get to the safe house!
I'm a big boy now.
Picture this scenario for just a second. You're sprinting through a mall to get medicine to your dying daughter. Time is of the essence. She will die if you take more than 5 minutes to reach her. Oh, and if that isn't stressful enough, there are zombies everywhere. But then, out of the corner of your eye, you see a lawnmower and wonder what would happen if you duct taped it to the 2x4 you have in your pocket. You glance at your watch, figure you have roughly 30 seconds to spare, and you duck into a nearby tool shed to work your magic. And that is the beauty of Dead Rising 2. Beneath the dour circumstances in which you struggle for survival is a goofy, lighthearted game that continually rewards you for using your imagination and conducting some good old-fashioned zombie genocide. There's nothing quite like Dead Rising, and it's a pleasure to see every delicious secret this ridiculous sequel holds. Chuck Green is in a very bad situation. His daughter Katie was bitten by a zombie and has to take medication every 24 hours or else she turns into a mindless monster. And if that's not lousy enough, Chuck is suspected of releasing a horde of zombies into a peaceful gambling metropolis.
Still angry over his wife's death in the Vegas outbreak.
Your goal in Dead Rising 2 is to keep your daughter alive while uncovering the truth behind this terrible crime. The story is a lot more personal than the original game, and Chuck is an immediately likable character. He may not have covered wars like Frank West, but he sure knows how to fix things. What makes these cutscenes so entertaining is not the sympathetic protagonist, though. It's how laugh-out-loud funny they can be. You have free reign over your wardrobe during the game, and this is represented during cinematics.
After I lost my wife.
It's a great way to inject some levity into the bleak situations. Hunting for the most outrageous outfit possible makes every story sequence funny each time you view it.
Thanks for the ride.
And that irreverent attitude stretches through every aspect of this game. Dead Rising 2 never takes itself seriously.
Nice. Not bad. Nice. Yeah, smooth.
A weapon crafting system is the biggest change from the original game, and it makes zombie homicide, both of the casual and determined variety, ridiculously fun. You can now combine certain weapons together, allowing you to create all sorts of wicked contraptions. Hammer some nails into a baseball bat and you have a handy tool for impaling zombie noggins. Or you can strap some chainsaws onto a motorcycle and slice right through your undead foes. There are lots of combinations in Dead Rising 2, and trying your hand at concocting silly weapons is a huge part of the appeal. There are some limitations to the system though. For instance, you can pour motor oil on a pair of boxing gloves for a flaming punch, but if you try this maneuver with gasoline instead, it doesn't work. But even with these logical inconsistencies, weapon crafting provides a huge pool of entertainment.
Damn straight.
But there's a lot more to Dead Rising 2 than just discovering new ways to torture these brain-craving husks of humanity. Although this is an open-world game, it is also very structured. Objectives pop up all the time, and you have a limited amount of time to complete them. If you're too slow, they disappear forever. It's a punishing system that can be quite stressful at times, but it's also the driving force of this enthralling adventure. You rarely have the time to rest on your laurels in Dead Rising 2, which creates a frantic atmosphere as you continually run from one objective to the next. It may sound strange to give players all these great tools to kill zombies, and to limit how much time they have to mess around, but it's not quite as restrictive as it sounds. Most of your objectives are optional, and you can ignore these entirely without any repercussions. You have plenty of time to slice and dice your foes until an unskippable mission comes up, so those who just want to spill blood have nothing to worry about. Furthermore, if you don't want to complete any objectives at all, there's a unique ending designed just for players who want to kill zombies and not worry about anything else. But the flexibility of Dead Rising 2 gets much deeper. As you kill zombies and complete objectives, you level up. Chuck starts out slow and weak, but he's an unstoppable killing machine by the time you reach the maximum level of 50. Your life and strength goes up, and you even earn martial arts moves to take down your enemies with fists. Unfortunately, hand-to-hand combat isn't as dynamic as it was in the first game. You don't have a lariat or a German suplex this time, nor can you walk on zombies' heads or disembowel them. The new moves you learn are still effective, but they aren't nearly as stylish. But even with a less vicious moveset, leveling up is one of the elements that makes this game really shine. Dead Rising 2 rewards multiple playthroughs because it's almost impossible to completely clear it your first attempt. Because of this, you can tackle each playthrough differently. For instance, you could just focus on killing zombies and discovering combo weapons your first time through. And then, once you've learned the layout of the town and leveled Chuck up, you could play through a second time and focus on the main objectives. It's a great system, and there are so many secrets buried within this game that you can be sure you'll see plenty of new things every time you replay it.
Yeah!
There are two main objective types in Dead Rising 2, survival rescue and psychopath killing. You will spend a lot of your time rescuing survivors in this game. These people are scattered throughout the malls and casino, and you have to convince them to return with you to the safe house. Luckily, they are smart enough to follow you and can even defend themselves if you hand them a weapon, but they can be awfully slow, so it can be frustrating when you have to be somewhere in a hurry and the slow survivor is taking his sweet time.
Antoine will make you dinner!
Psychopaths serve as the boss battles, and they prove that zombies are not nearly as bad as man. The best parts of these fights is the horrific backstories for each of these characters. For instance, one jerky meat is a former colleague of Chuck's, a fellow motocross rider.
Hey, buddy. I heard you lost your wife in Vegas. I guess you suck at killing zombies, otherwise she'd still be around!
Now that law and order have been banished from this zombie-infested land, he thinks it's fun to kill the surviving humans. Not cool.
Hey! Over here! I'll race you for him.
Each of the psychos you meet has a chilling motivation that makes it satisfying to finally end their lives.
Number one!
It's just a shame that combat isn't able to live up to the promise of their dark stories. Most fights involve dodging the boss until he tires himself out, and then you wallop on him until he starts moving again. It's still fun, but isn't very thoughtful. On top of all these other elements that make Dead Rising 2 great are cooperative and competitive modes. In co-op play, two players work in tandem to kill zombies and rescue survivors. It's limited because you have to be within the same area as your pal, but it's still fun to take down enemies with a buddy by your side. Unfortunately, competitive mode isn't nearly as fun. You compete in a series of American Gladiator-inspired events, but the controls are loose and the game's uninspired. At least you can carry over the money you earn in the single-player game, but it's really not worth the effort. Dead Rising 2 does have a number of issues that have carried over from the previous installment. You still can't place a waypoint on the map. so you better learn your way around these malls and casinos.
Let's go!
The up-close combat can still be finicky at times. It's not a huge deal, but you will inexplicably fail to connect on point-blank attacks once in a while. And finally, there are lots of load times. Every time you enter a new area, you have to suffer through a load screen, which certainly breaks up the fine pacing. But other than those stumbles, Dead Rising 2 offers just as much fantastic fun as its predecessor. The addictive structure moves you relentlessly forward. The deadly weapons gives you all sorts of clever ways to dispatch of your foes, and there are so many hidden secrets that it'll take multiple playthroughs to see everything. Top that off with a great cooperative mode, and this is a mighty fine package.
Not my style.
Dead Rising 2 is a great addition to the franchise that should surprise and delight anyone itching for another zombie-killing extravaganza.
Look, Dad, I got a new power